When her son's teacher called about new symptoms, Sophia tried to stay calm. But that morning, under the blue glow of her lab reagent, something inside her cracked. At Boston University Hospital, Dr. Sophia Blake stared into her microscope. Blue markers danced across the neural cells, just like they did in her dreams. Her colleague Kate walked in. "Another early start? Is Ryan okay?" Sophia looked up with a confident smile, one that barely hid the sleepless nights and gnawing worry in her chest. "Evan's handling school drop-off. He's still an amazing father." She glanced at the photo of her 8-year-old son Ryan in his NFL uniform, his smile radiating innocence. Kate sighed. "You really do have the perfect family." Sophia's gaze lingered on the photo. "We do. Evan's parents are wonderful too, the ideal grandparents." As her phone rang with the research director needing updates, Sophia felt a surge of pride. Everything was in perfect balance. The Blake kitchen bustled with morning activity. Ryan devoured breakfast while Evan excitedly discussed his potential national broadcasting opportunity. Evan said with eyes shining with ambition, "If I appear as a correspondent on this Super Bowl show, I'll get a big sponsor. Dad's even offered to invest. This is the chance I've been waiting for." Sophia squeezed his hand. "You'll make it happen. Viewers are drawn to your authenticity." The doorbell rang. Arthur and Elena Blake, Evan's parents, arrived. Arthur, a retired pharmacist with calculating eyes, placed a bottle of bright blue liquid on the table while Elena, a former teacher, hovered nervously behind him. "Special breakfast calls for a special drink," Arthur announced. "This sports drink has supplements that NFL players use. Helps with focus." "Thanks again, Dad," Evan said with unusual intensity. "Ryan loves your special drink." Ryan's eyes lit up. "I'll be strong like a star player?" Arthur exchanged a meaningful glance with Evan. "Didn't the school mention concentration issues last month? This will help him focus like an NFL star." Sophia frowned at the unnaturally vivid blue color. "That's quite an intense blue. It resembles the cell marker we use in my lab. But I'm sure it's fine if it's just supplements." As she continued preparing breakfast, she noticed Elena's momentary expression of concern. The older woman seemed about to say something, then stopped herself. Evan caught this interaction and briefly locked eyes with his father. Something cold and unspoken passed between them that made Sophia's scientist instincts quietly stir. After Ryan was tucked in bed, Sophia approached Evan in their living room, shadows stretching across his face. "That blue drink from your father, is it really safe? The color seems unusually vivid." Evan shifted uncomfortably, not meeting her eyes. "Of course it is. I drank it myself growing up. Just Dad's special blend of nutrients." Sophia's analytical mind raced. "Strange, I don't remember you mentioning this drink from your childhood." And Elena seemed concerned. "It's just food coloring," Evan said dismissively, checking his phone. "Dad's messaging about the show. I need to call him." He quickly left the room. Alone by the window, moonlight illuminated Sophia's troubled face. The scientist in her sensed inconsistencies, but the wife and mother wanted to trust her family. "I shouldn't doubt my family. I'm sure it's just professional paranoia," she whispered, trying to quiet the growing unease in her chest. One day, Sophia was at her lab when her phone rang. Ryan's teacher reported his concentration problems were getting worse, a marked decline from the initial report a month ago. After hanging up, she reviewed his school records, noticing a pattern. Symptoms improved at the beginning of the week but worsened after weekends. Her trained mind couldn't ignore the pattern. "This symptom cycle," she murmured, searching her laptop for benzodiazepine side effects. Almost immediately, she closed the screen. "I'm overthinking," she told herself, but her scientist's intuition warred with maternal denial. Then on Friday evening, an urgent call came to Sophia's lab. There were critical experimental data that needed an analysis over the weekend. Simultaneously, Evan messaged that he'd be completely unavailable due to broadcast preparations. Sophia called Evan, tension building. "We'll have to leave Ryan with your parents. Dad and Mom are great with him," Evan replied with unusual eagerness. "Dad will bring that sports drink Ryan loves so much. We're lucky Ryan trusts your parents so completely," Sophia said. On the other end, Evan's expression darkened momentarily. "Yeah, we have the perfect family." After hanging up, Sophia pulled a vial of blue reagent from her lab shelf. For a split second, Arthur's blue drink superimposed in her mind. She shook her head, dismissing the comparison, yet unease lingered in her eyes. The perfect balance she'd maintained between work and family was beginning to tilt, and somewhere deep inside, Sophia knew her world was about to change forever. Sophia dropped Ryan off at his grandparents' house, apologizing for the research emergency. Arthur welcomed his grandson with a calculated smile. "Don't worry about it," Arthur reassured her. "Ryan, I've got that NFL player interview recording you'll love. Want to watch it?" Ryan bounced with excitement. "Yes. And can I have your special sports drink too?" After Sophia left, Arthur prepared the blue drink in the kitchen. With practiced hands, he secretly mixed a white powder into it while telling Ryan, "This drink will make you strong like the athletes you admire." Elena watched from the corner, her eyes filled with unspoken concern and inner conflict. Jessica, Elena's niece who was studying nursing, stopped by unexpectedly. She frowned at the blue concoction Arthur was stirring. "That blue drink again," she whispered to Elena. "Ryan got sick last time. My son felt terrible after drinking it too." "Jessica, please." Elena pleaded quietly, her hands trembling. Evan hurried into the kitchen, shooting Jessica a warning glance. "It's just a nutritional drink. NFL players use similar supplements." Jessica fell silent but discreetly took photos of the powder when Arthur wasn't looking. Her eyes met Elena's, who subtly shook her head in warning. Evan noticed this exchange but pretended not to. A flash of anxiety crossed his face before his expression hardened into practiced indifference. That night, Arthur brought Ryan another blue drink. "One more special NFL star drink to help you sleep well." Ryan hesitated but drank it under his grandfather's watchful eyes. Hours later, he woke up from nightmares, his small hands shaking uncontrollably. The room seemed to spin around him as he whispered to his smartwatch. "My head hurts. I always feel weird at Grandpa's house, after the blue drink." His voice quivered. "But it's a secret between Dad and Grandpa. Mom doesn't know. I'm recording this on my watch." The recording light blinked red in the darkness. In the hallway, Arthur and Evan spoke in hushed tones, moonlight casting their faces in an eerie blue glow. "The data collection is proceeding well," Arthur said clinically. "We'll continue with the same dosage this weekend." Evan's face contorted with worry. "But the side effects? Ryan looks like he's suffering." "Everything is for the future," Arthur replied coldly. "You know the value of this research data. The show sponsorship, your debts, all will be solved." Evan nodded reluctantly, shoulders slumping in defeat. "I understand. I'm just watching. Nothing more." Unbeknownst to them, Elena listened from the shadows, her face a portrait of fear and crushing guilt. On Sunday afternoon, Sophia arrived to pick up Ryan. Only Arthur greeted her, explaining that Elena went to church. His kindness seemed rehearsed, his eyes calculating. In the car, Ryan sat quietly, his face pale and hands trembling. "Are you feeling sick?" Sophia asked, maternal concern rising in her chest. "My head hurts." Ryan's voice was barely audible. "Did you have that blue drink at Grandpa's?" "Yes. Grandpa and Dad said it would help me focus like an NFL player," Ryan admitted. But it always makes me feel sick, every weekend after drinking it. Sophia caught Ryan secretly glancing at his watch. In the rearview mirror, she studied his pallid face, her scientific mind connecting patterns that her heart didn't want to acknowledge. These symptoms, they resemble drug reactions. The weekend pattern, the blue color. Her thoughts raced as the lab reagent and Arthur's drink merged in her mind. That evening, Evan returned from broadcast preparations. When Sophia expressed concerns about Ryan's condition, his dismissive response chilled her. "You're overreacting. He's just tired. His hands are shaking." "This isn't normal," Sophia insisted, her voice rising. "The school's concerns are increasing, and have you noticed the pattern? His symptoms worsen after weekends." "Kids get sick sometimes," Evan snapped, clearly agitated. "I'm busy with the biggest opportunity of my career. The sponsors are counting on me." Unconvinced, Sophia went to Ryan's room and discovered his sketchbook. The drawings showed a child surrounded by sinister blue shadows. Her phone buzzed with a message from Jessica, "Need to talk about Arthur's blue sports drink." With newfound determination, Sophia reopened her laptop search on benzodiazepine side effects, this time studying the symptoms in detail as a terrible suspicion hardened into certainty. On Monday night, Evan entered Arthur's study with resolve burning in his eyes. "We need to stop this. Ryan is suffering. This has to end." "What are you saying?" Arthur replied calmly. "We're 3 months into this experiment." "This isn't an experiment, it's child abuse." Evan's voice cracked. Arthur smiled coldly. "Sudden attack of conscience? How convenient." His eyes hardened. "The broadcasting contract will fall through. Your debts will remain unpaid. Is that what you want?" Evan's resistance crumbled visibly. "Can't we, at least reduce the dosage? That would compromise data consistency. Pharmaceutical companies pay for complete datasets." On another occasion, Evan tried secretly replacing the blue drink with water. Arthur caught him. "Dad, please, just one day to let Ryan recover." "Listen to me," Arthur hissed. "Lower doses shouldn't have side effects." "I didn't expect such severe reactions." For a moment, uncertainty flickered across his face. "But it's too late to stop now. If anything happens," Evan whispered, "I'll just say I was only watching. Nothing more." "Exactly," Arthur's smile was glacial. "You always obey in the end. That's your nature." Evan's shoulders slumped in complete defeat, a man crushed between ambition and the last remnants of his conscience. One midnight, the silence of the night was shattered with a noise from Ryan's room. Sophia rushed in to find her son convulsing, his small body covered in angry rashes, vomit soaking his dinosaur-patterned sheets. His limbs trembled violently as consciousness slipped away, his skin taking on a terrifying bluish tint. "Ryan!" Sophia cried, gathering him into her arms, his body frighteningly limp yet spasming. Pure terror seized her as she called an ambulance, her scientific mind struggling for composure while her mother's heart shattered with fear. Evan arrived home from his broadcast just as the ambulance pulled up. His reaction sent ice through Sophia's veins, a brief, almost rehearsed flash of surprise before his face settled into unnatural calm. "You're overreacting." "Probably just food poisoning," he said dismissively, standing in the doorway while paramedics rushed to Ryan's side. Fury erupted through Sophia's panic. "This is not food poisoning," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "Every weekend his condition worsens after visiting your parents, after drinking that blue concoction." "What's in that drink, Evan? What have you been giving our son?" The paramedic looked up with alarm. "These aren't typical food poisoning symptoms. There are signs of drug reaction, pupil constriction, specific rash patterns. We need to get him to the hospital immediately." As they prepared to leave, Sophia caught a glimpse of Evan's phone notification. From Arthur, any issues with tonight? Suspicion crystallized within her. Evan noticed her gaze and quickly pocketed his phone, fear flashing across his face. What are you hiding? Sophia's voice was ice. Nothing. Evan stammered, eyes darting everywhere but at his wife or suffering son. As the ambulance siren wailed, Sophia climbed in beside Ryan, holding his hand. She looked back at Evan standing in the doorway, and something broke permanently between them. Trust shattered like glass, revealing a terrible void where love had once lived. In the emergency room, Dr. Malinchin called Sophia aside, her face grave as she guided her to a small office where monitors beeped, each sound a reminder that Ryan's life hung in balance. Mrs. Blake, she began, her voice tinged with unmistakable concern, your son's symptoms aren't consistent with ordinary illness or accidental poisoning. What do you mean? Sophia's voice trembled. Dr. Chen turned her monitor to show Sophia. His liver function is significantly abnormal. These numbers indicate ongoing exposure, not a one-time event. Sophia stared, her training allowing her to understand exactly what she was seeing. Oh God. Tests detected benzodiazepine compounds in his bloodstream, psychotropic medication. There's also a distinctive blue dye reaction that's quite unusual. Sophia felt reality shifting beneath her. Prescription drugs? But nobody. Suddenly, realization dawned. The blue dye, it's similar to the neural development marker we use in my laboratory. A specialized reagent for visualizing neural pathways. The doctor's expression hardened. The combination and dosage exceed prescribed limits significantly. This mixture could trigger abnormal central nervous system reactions. Mrs. Blake, this wasn't accidental. The consistent levels suggest regular, deliberate administration. Sophia connected the dots, professional analysis taking over where maternal emotion threatened to overwhelm her. This reaction pattern matches the weekend symptom cycle. The timing, the blue reagent from my lab. Her hands shook as the monstrous possibility took shape. I need to contact the police, Dr. Chen said gravely. Someone has deliberately administered drugs to your child over an extended period. I've worked with Detective Morales on similar cases. He specializes in child protection. Fragments of memory aligned with terrible clarity, Evan's strange behavior, Arthur's calculating glances, the weekend blue drink, and her own research data that someone had been systematically stealing. Call the police, she said, determination hardening her voice like tempered steel. And contact my lab immediately. We need to analyze that blue dye component. In the hospital hallway, police began their investigation. Evan paced nervously, composure deteriorating with each question. Sweat beaded on his forehead as his explanations grew circular and defensive. This is ridiculous. It's a big mistake, he protested. My father was a pharmacist, he knows medications, but he'd never do something like this. He loves Ryan. Sophia observed him with detached scientific precision, noticing his trembling hands and averted eyes. The blue sports drink, she said, voice dangerously quiet. What's in it, Evan? You've been giving it to Ryan every weekend, watching his symptoms worsen, and you kept giving it to him. It's just nutritional supplements. Dad's special blend. Nothing more. Evan's voice rose an octave, desperation contorting his features. You're always working. If you were home more, this wouldn't have happened. The blame shifting struck Sophia like a physical blow. Her husband's behavior confirmed her worst fears more clearly than any laboratory test. You knew about this. She whispered, sickening clarity dawning. What are you talking about? I didn't. Stop lying. Sophia's voice cut like a scalpel. I saw the message on your phone. Any issues with tonight? What have you and your father been doing to our son? Evan stammered incoherently before muttering, "I need to make a call," and fleeing. Cold determination settled in Sophia's eyes as she watched him go, a glacier of resolve forming where warm trust had once resided. A police officer approached. "Mrs. Blake, we understand your son's smartwatch has recording capabilities. We'll need to check that data." Morning light filtered through hospital windows. Elena rushed in, face tear-streaked, normally neat appearance disheveled. She pulled Sophia aside with trembling hands. "Sophia, how's Ryan?" Her voice barely above a whisper. "Drug poisoning," Sophia replied coldly. "Deliberately administered, according to the doctors." Elena's face was drained of color as she collapsed into tears, clutching a chair for support. "The blue drink." She managed between sobs. "I suspected something was wrong. But I've never defied Arthur in 40 years of marriage." A flashback crossed her features, her younger self as a teacher, noticing bruises on a student but hesitating to report it. Later, that child was hospitalized with preventable injuries. "As a teacher, I once missed signs of abuse," Elena confessed, decades-old guilt breaking her voice. "I saw the signs but convinced myself I could be wrong, and that child ended up with permanent injuries. I promised myself never again, but then." Another painful memory shot through her mind. Ryan was clinging to her, whispering, "I don't want to go to Grandpa's house anymore. My head feels funny after the blue drink." "Arthur's medicine box." She continued, barely audible. "I saw him measuring something every weekend, noting doses. I tried to call you so many times, actually dialed your number twice, but couldn't speak the words. I've been a coward twice in my life, and both times, children suffered for my silence." "Tell me everything, Elena," Sophia demanded urgently. "For Ryan's sake." Arthur suddenly appeared in the hallway, his imposing figure casting a long shadow. Elena immediately fell silent, physically shrinking back. He approached with practiced concern, his performance almost perfect except for the calculating coldness in his eyes. "I came as soon as I heard. Is Ryan all right?" Sophia's expression hardened to stone as she placed herself protectively between Arthur and her son's room. Elena stood paralyzed, torn between decades of submission and the terrible truth she could no longer deny. In her laboratory at dawn, Sophia analyzed Ryan's blood sample herself. Through the microscope, she discovered a distinctive blue reaction that made her hand freeze. "This coloration. I know it," she whispered, her scientific mind connecting dots her heart didn't want to accept. She placed her lab's specialized neural marker beside Ryan's blood sample. On the monitor, 2 images showed identical blue coloration. Horror washed over her face. "This blue dye. It's our experimental neural development marker. This can only used in this lab." Her voice trembled as professional knowledge transformed into personal nightmare. "When combined with psychotropic drugs." She scrolled through research papers until stopping at a particular article. "Marker reagent combined with benzodiazepines can cause abnormal neurotransmitter activity." Her scientific detachment crumbled. This was deliberate. She checked security footage, discovering Evan repeatedly entering the lab late at night, taking vials of the blue reagent. Sophia's face transformed from shock to cold fury. "Evan. Why?" Further analysis revealed a consistent pattern of drug administration every weekend for over 3 months. With shaking hands, she documented regular dosing, weekends only, continuous for 3+ months, systematic and premeditated. Her eyes fell on the family photo on her desk. With deliberate slowness, she turned the frame face down, her scientific clarity returning through the fog of betrayal. "This isn't just a family matter. This is systematic drugging of a child, using my own research." Determination hardened her voice. "Unforgivable." Detective Diego Morales presented the accumulated evidence to Sophia, his face grim. "Mrs. Blake, First, let's listen to your son's smartwatch recordings. Evan's voice filled the room. It's Grandpa's special sports drink. Drink it and you'll be like an NFL star. This is just between us men. From another date, just a little longer, Ryan. This is for the future. Or maybe just for me. Pain flashed across Sophia's face as her husband's betrayal was played in his own words. We also found psychotropic drug residue in the blue drink, Diego continued, opening another file. And this notebook from Arthur Blake's medicine cabinet. The notebook contained meticulous records, R. 0.5 milligrams per weekend, behavior changes, decreased concentration, ADHD plus anxiety disorder diagnosis target, research data collection, weekly progress. And these WhatsApp messages from your husband's phone. The screen displayed the conversation. Arthur, did you get the sample from the lab? Evan, got it. The teacher has started noticing ADHD symptoms. Arthur, excellent. The pharmaceutical contact is responding. Sophia's research data is worth 5 figures. Evan, but I'm worried about the side effects. Arthur, it's fine. Just keep watching. Evan, when the broadcasting contract comes through, I can pay off my debts. And more recently. Evan, Ryan looks like he's suffering. I'm not sure we should continue. Arthur, don't get weak now. You've always lacked decisiveness. Evan, I understand. I'm just watching. Nothing more. Sophia trembled with rage and devastation. Her life's work and her son's health had been weaponized by those she trusted most. There's one more person who wants to testify, Diego said as Jessica entered the room. In the hospital room, Ryan was beginning to recover. Jessica showed Sophia evidence she'd gathered. I knew something was wrong, Jessica explained. Ryan always got sick with that blue drink. Those symptoms seemed off to me. Her phone contained photos of Arthur's study drawer with packets of blue powder. I think this powder looks like what you use in your lab. Sophia examined the images. This is absolutely my lab reagent, and this is benzodiazepine medication. Aunt Elena suspected something too. She tried calling you several times but always hung up at the last second. Jessica shared, a year ago, he offered my son the same drink. He got terribly sick. Arthur claimed it was just coincidence, but I realized it was a drug reaction. She played a recording of Arthur saying, Sophia's research data is a goldmine. We can sell it as actual case study data using her testing marker. My research data. Sophia whispered, the full conspiracy becoming clear. At Ryan's bedside, Sophia held her son's hand. Beside the bed sat Ryan's drawing, a boy surrounded by ominous blue shadows. You were trying to tell us through your art what you couldn't say in words. In the interrogation room, Evan initially maintained composure. This is a misunderstanding. My father was just concerned about his grandson. You stole reagents from the laboratory. Security cameras recorded you. Evan began to unravel. That was, to help Sophia's research. The detective showed phone records documenting frequent calls with Arthur. Listen, I didn't know at first. Dad said it was a health drink. We found emails about your broadcasting contract and debts. Panic overtook Evan. That show was my life's biggest opportunity. I just followed Dad's instructions. Evidence shows you've known about the plan for 3 months. Evan's face was drained of color as his facade collapsed. Yes. I knew, he admitted, tears streaming down. At first, I just took reagents from the lab, but after a month, I knew everything. I couldn't stop. I just wanted his approval. My whole life has been seeking Dad's pride. I had debts. Dad said he'd solve everything, thought. His hands trembled uncontrollably. I tried replacing his drink with water once, but Dad caught me. What happened then? He said small doses shouldn't have effects. When I said we should stop, he threatened me with the contract and my debts. His voice broke completely. I've never defied my father. I was just watching, but now, when I look into Ryan's eyes, his voice quivered. When I see his drawings, covering his face, Evan broke down in sobs. What have I done? Outside the interrogation room, Sophia watched her husband's confession. Her expression transformed from grief and anger to cold, clear resolution. In the stillness of night, Sophia sat beside Ryan's bed watching him sleep after his hospital discharge. Moonlight cast a pale blue glow across his face. Silent tears rolled down her cheeks as the clock ticked quietly in the room. She moved to the wall of family photographs, moments of what she believed was perfect happiness. One by one, she studied them, then placed them gently in a drawer. "Papa," Ryan murmured in his sleep. Pain flashed across Sophia's face as she stroked her son's forehead. "We can't go back to what was," she whispered. "But we can choose how to move forward." At the window, determination gradually replaced sorrow in her eyes. "We all look away from things we don't want to see," she thought. "I didn't listen when my son was trying to tell me without words. Never again." As dawn broke through the window, it illuminated both Sophia's face and Ryan's drawing, the blue shadows now touched by morning light, darkness giving way to hope. Morning light bathed Arthur's home as police officers arrived. Surprisingly calm, he offered no resistance as they placed handcuffs on his wrists. "What happened to Ryan is unfortunate," Arthur said coldly, "but this was business. Sophia's research data is extremely valuable in pharmaceutical circles. Clinical trial data involving an actual child would sell for a premium. Arthur Blake, you're under arrest for child abuse, illegal drug administration, and attempted corporate espionage." A flicker of uncertainty crossed Arthur's face. Small doses shouldn't have caused such reactions. He quickly regained composure. "But I didn't act alone. My son was involved every step of the way." Elena, watching her husband's arrest, approached a police officer with shaking hands. "I suspected something was wrong, but I was too afraid." She handed over a thick notebook. "I looked away when I should have acted. I need to make amends." She looked toward Ryan's photo. "As a teacher, I once missed signs of abuse with a student. I can't make the same mistake twice." Arthur coldly stared at his wife as officers led him away. Elena stood watching him leave, standing on her own for perhaps the first time in 40 years. In a television studio, Evan prepared for his national debut, unaware of what was about to unfold. "From Boston, we welcome new correspondent Evan Blake," the anchor announced. "Thank you." Today, as Super Bowl preparations continue, police officers suddenly entered. Evan's face was drained of color as cameras captured every moment. "Evan Blake, you're under arrest for child abuse and complicity." "I didn't know the full plan." Evan stammered as millions watched. "I was just watching, nothing more." The broadcast was cut off immediately. In her living room, Sophia held Ryan's newest drawing, his father and grandfather sinking downward while she and Elena floated above. Her fingers traced the images as she turned to documents from her lab, Creative Expression Program for Neurodevelopmental Disorders. With renewed purpose, she began planning a project that would transform tragedy into healing. On Ryan's discharge day, a knock revealed Elena with a handmade picture book clutched in her trembling hands. "May I come in?" she asked timidly. "Why?" Sophia's voice remained cold. "Please let me make amends," Elena pleaded. "I want to be part of Ryan's future. I made this book for him." Ryan smiled at his grandmother. "Grandma, look. I drew something new," he said, showing a vibrant landscape where blue shadows transformed into colorful light. Elena opened her book. "This is the boy who found his colors." It's about not just watching, but acting when something is wrong. After studying them intently, Sophia gave a small nod. It will take time, she said quietly. But Ryan needs his grandmother. Mom, I want to make picture books someday too, Ryan said. Next time I'll make up a not blue story. Tears welled in Sophia's eyes as she embraced her son. That's wonderful. Your special way of seeing things will touch many hearts. In a courtroom, the judge delivered Evan's sentence. Allowing a child to be endangered while doing nothing is complicity. Your choice to just watch harmed your son. For this, I sentence you to 5 years imprisonment. Evan kept his head down and held a letter addressed to Sophia and Ryan in his hand. He looked up once, meeting Sophia's eyes across the courtroom. Months later, Sophia presented her creative expression program, nurturing children's diverse talents without medication. We need to see children's differences not as problems but as gifts, she explained passionately. Ryan created drawings with new friends while Elena volunteered, reading stories she'd written. A child approached her, read this story again, handing her the book featuring Ryan's drawing. This case prompted the state to revise guidelines for medication administration to children, the narrator explained. In a park at sunset, Ryan showed Sophia his newest family drawing, including a small silhouette of his father in one corner. Will Dad ever come back? Ryan asked innocently. It will take time, but people can change. I want to make a not blue stories with all kinds of colors, Ryan said. In Evan's prison cell, his sketchbook showed drawings transitioning from blue to colorful hues. He wrote a short poem, Courage to Act, Not Just to Watch. We find our true colors when we stop by just looking and step forward, guided by the quiet truths our children show us. Forgiveness does not come quickly. But moving forward is where renewal begins. Ryan and Sophia walked hand in hand into the future, the creative expression program poster fluttering behind them.